Hello and welcome to yet another episode that talks about development. I'm Swati Singh, a media professional for the last 12 years, specialized in mass communication. I have worked as a media professional with the Hindustan Times, the Indian Express, Career Launches, the Times of India, etc. And have also taught mass media in various universities and colleges, including the Delhi University. Today, we shall be discussing about the models of development. We will try to understand the various types of development models and their significance with respect to development. These models will give us an insight into the various types of developmental thought processes and philosophies all around the world, thus opening our horizons to the variety of options created with respect to different facets of development. So, let's start by discussing the objectives of this episode. The objectives of this particular lesson are to learn about the meaning and significance of models of development, to learn about the Western liberal models of development, to understand the classification of the world in terms of first world, second world and third world countries, to learn about welfare model of development, to understand about the socialist Marxist model of development, to learn about the democratic socialist model of development, to discuss about the Gandhian model of development, to understand sustainable model of development, to discuss the different dimensions of sustainable development. Now, let's start by discussing the meaning and concept of models of development. In fact, the development is a very complex process and it has several dimensions which are related and interdependent and yet different. The reality is that there have been present several different models of development. Out of these, no single development model stands universally accepted. Further, the concept of development has been regularly undergoing changes. Therefore, the utility and dynamics of these models also keep on changing. We shall take a look at the various types of models in this module initially. There was Western model of liberty. Economic growth and modernization was adopted by several states. Then some states came forward to adopt the socialist model of development. Some other, like India, decided to adopt a mixed liberal democratic socialist model. Presently, the world has been strongly advocating the sustainable development model. Now, let us briefly study some popular models of development, starting with the Western liberal model of development. In this particular model, it is held that all societies undergo changes from traditional, transitional and modern stages of development. It regards political development as the condition for economic development. It supports the autonomy, rights and the self-interest of the individuals as the basis of all the development. It stands for rapid industrialization, technological advancements, modernization, full employment and continuous process of liberalization of the society, economy and polity. The goals of development are to be achieved on the basis of free market economy, competitiveness and all-round individual development. This model can be described as the market model of development. It advocates the opening up of the economies of all states is the only way for development. However, this model does not really suit the development countries. Many of them feel that it acts as a source of a neo-colonial control of the rich and developed countries over the economies and policies of the developing or the third world countries of the world. The critics, particularly the socialist critics, criticize this model because it leads to economic inequalities and concentration of wealth in the hands of few rich class of capitalists. It gives rise to a monopolistic behavior of the rich and an exploitation of the poor section of the society. Let's talk about now the welfare model of development. Well, the welfare model of development accepts and strongly advocates the role of state in the economic sphere of promoting the socio-cultural welfare and common interest of the society. It conceptualizes the state as a welfare state and advocates that state planning and organized efforts are essential for rapid industrialization, economic growth, and socio-economic development. The welfare state can provide various types of social services for these people, like education, health, employment, social security, and public distribution system. It acts as the agency for promoting desired social changes and development. It takes special steps for protecting the interests of the weaker sections of the society. Welfare state protects all social, economic, and political rights of all the people, and in turn, the people act in a socially responsible way. All developing countries accepted the welfare state model, but with some changes of their individual likings and needs. However, the welfare model did not succeed in securing the desired development. The machinery of state, particularly the bureaucracy, proved to be inefficient and corrupt. Welfare goals were secured partially, and that too with undesirable delays. The welfare model also made the people dependent upon the state, and they largely failed to develop. Now let's come to the third model, that is the socialist and Marxist model of development. Karl Marx, the father of socialism and Marxism, the socialist model of development is a general model in which several social thinkers advocate several different views about development goals and means. Some socialists accept democratic means for securing socialist growth of development. However, the Marxist socialists and the revolutionary socialists advocate revolutionary means as a centralized system of economic and political relations for rapid industrialization, progress, and development. The Marxist socialist model rejects the capitalist liberal model of development. The communist states like the USSR in 1917 to 1990, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, East Germany, Vietnam, North Korea, and Cuba between 1945 to 1990 used a centralized command economic system as the means for development. They placed full emphasis upon social and economic rights, particularly the right to equality and social justice. They advocated socialization of means of production and distribution for rapid socio-economic development. Industrialization was held to be the means, but it was to be pursued by ensuring the protection of the interests of the workers and the common people. Control of the communist state over the process of industrialization and development was held to an essential condition for development. Such a state was regarded as the supreme agency for ensuring education, health, and social security for the masses. Little emphasis was, however, placed on the civil and political rights of the people. However, in 1980s, the socialist Marxist model of development was found to be too weak and unproductive. Around 1985 to 1991, the economics and politics of the socialist states began collapsing. They found it essential to adopt political and economic liberalization of their societies, polities, and economies. All these states decided to liberalize, privatize, and democratize, and competitiveness as the means for growth, stability, and development. The socialist model of development suffered a big decline in its popularity, and liberal democratic capitalist model got a new universal acceptance and popularity. Now let's talk about the democratic socialist model of development. This model advocates development through the securing of socialist goals by using democratic means. India and several other third world countries decided to adopt this model. In fact, these states combined the democratic socialist model and welfare state model for rapid industrialization, economic growth, and development. And democratic process of politics we adopt by them. However, the actual operation of this model of development also proved to be inadequate for securing the goal of a rapid social, economic, political development. Bureaucratic inefficiency, corruption, faulty planning priorities, and slow growth led to an inadequate success in all areas of development. In the last decade of the 20th century, these states also decided to go in for liberalization, privatization, competition, market economy, and globalization. These began registering some rapid development by using the new model. However, this model of development has also started showcasing some limitations and dangers of privatization and globalization. It has started acting as a source of a commercialization of human relations and even a commercialization of the education, healthcare system, and social service sectors. A need for reforms and changes are currently being designed and adopted, particularly for meeting the pressures resulting from the global economic recession. Gandhian model of development. The world has changed dramatically since he lived and worked. There have been enormous changes in political, economic, and social scenes. However, trials, tribulations, and challenges faced by Mahatma in his eventful life remain important. The moral issues he raised are still relevant, and the questions he posed for social, economic, and political justice still remain of crucial importance. The prevalent methods of measuring development in terms of economic progress, industrialization, consumption of energy, and urbanization have proved to be inadequate to address the issue of the miseries of the millions. Gandhi was aware of the pitfalls of such a theory and the result of the unequal distribution of wealth between the different classes in a society. Today, science and technology have taken unprecedented strides, and yet millions live in utter poverty. Basic human rights are denied to them, powerful nations dominate over the powerless ones, and innocent people become victims of terrorism. It is in this dismal situation that Gandhian perspective becomes useful. The quintessence of Gandhi's philosophy is that the human values and not the market should govern life. Service of the teeming millions, the poor, Daridra Narayan, is one of the utmost importance. Gandhi presents the human face of development. The various basic objectives of the Gandhian scheme of holistic development are the human development, including moral development for capability expansion, development in a balanced way through manual and intellectual labors, development of body, mind, and soul, development with social justice, rights, and freedom. This is in accordance with the principles of social and human development. Then, the attainment of self-sufficiency and self-reliance through rural development. Next, we talk about reduction in poverty to the generation of additional income and employment. So, basically, Gandhi aims at what we may call sustainable development, balanced development of body, mind, and soul. Gandhi had realized that human development is not just material or economic, it has to be moral as well. It should be able to instill the values of equality, liberty, and dignity in the people. It must provide the people with the courage to protest against injustice. According to Gandhi, nature provides just enough and not more for our daily needs. He opposes exploitation, ruthless drive for economic abundance, and personal aggrandizement. Massive technological progress, severe competition, unbridled consumerism, and concentration of wealth and power. For him, the development of the individual and the development of the society are interrelated. His ultimate goal was Sarvodaya, the development of all in all facets of life. The concept of Sarvodaya presupposes the principle of justice. Sarvodaya generates movements for changes, outwards as well as inwards, and strives for egalitarian social order based on the truth, non-violence, and purity of means. Gandhi never compromised the cost of the individual freedom, equality, and social justice. His principles of non-violence were not mere philosophical principles, but it was the rule of life. Gandhi's basic aim was to have an all-round development of the society that included human development along with socio-economic political development. Gandhian program is a holistic and multidimensional. Gandhi believes in the unity of life and egalitarian values in all spheres of life. According to him, life cannot be divided in spheres like social, political, economic, moral, and religion. If one part of the society suffers, all the other parts too suffer. Social involvement is very important to Gandhi. He visualized a society of diverse people based on mutual understanding, mutual cooperation, and mutual respect. He wanted freedom and equality for all. Gandhi transcends barriers of religion, rituals, caste, class, and color. Dada Dharam Adhikari points out that Gandhi had no business other than life and integrated life. Gandhi maintains that wealth is to be used judiciously, governed by the principles of each according to their need, and emergence of inequality has to be curbed at all the levels. An individual is not free to hold to use his wealth for selfish satisfaction. Trusteeship aims at some realizable outcomes of the capital-labor cooperation, formation of social capital, reduction in the concentration of economic power in the hands of few, and voluntary cutting down the wants. Gandhi did not approve the use of machines that replace men or makes them subservient to the machines. He advocates judicious use of machines and simple indigenous technology of non-exploitative nature in tune with non-violence. He emphasizes the importance of whatever can be produced locally. He propagated the use of the spinning wheel and khadi for self-reliance as well as moral and economic regeneration. Gandhi visualized exploitation-free society based on cooperation and ethics. His vision included productive employment for India's millions, schemes for rebuilding villages and creating communities of care and concern, promotion of khadi and local handicrafts, production of need-based basic goods, empowering people by imparting basic education and required skills to enable them to create decentralized structures of power, and entrusting equality of opportunity for all. For Gandhi, rebuilding villages in accordance with the principle of self-sufficiency and decentralization was very important. According to him, cities have so far exploited the villages, and that resulted in the gap between villages and the cities in education, culture, facilities, employment, etc. Now, a new partnership between cities and the villages is needed. Gandhi insists on regularization of wants and use of goods and material not imported, but made in one's own country. His concept of Swadeshi, a dynamic concept of self-reliance, is closely connected with Swaraj, political freedom. It is based primarily upon the following features. That, number one, Gandhi model is totally different from the Western materialistic model of development. It gives place to primacy to moral development and ethical views of socio-economic political development. Truth and non-violence are advocated as the basis of the human activity and decisions. Next, it stands for complete decentralization of functions and powers, with each village acting as a self-regulating and self-sufficient unit of development. Gandhi's theory also talked about as development must ensure food, clothing, shelter, education, and employment for all. Next, he did talk about the strong reservation about mechanization and industrialization. Machines deprive human beings of jobs and employment, and industrialization generates consumerism and profiteering. Industrialization must be based upon the use of manpower, and its aim should be to meet the primary basic needs of all the people. In this principle, emphasis upon cottage industries, handicrafts, agriculture, and labor is a lot. Next, the total emphasis upon social equality, non-violence, truthful living, social responsibilities, dignity of labor, and moral and spiritual happiness are also harped upon. Development has to be measured on the scale of happiness and not consumerism and profit-making. This theory also talks about all development must ensure environmental health and happiness. Next, Gandhian view of developed state is a peaceful, happy, non-violent state based on morality and respect for the equal dignity, worth and need of all the people in the society. The critics of this model hold it to be an idealist model which cannot really be used. However, the supporters of the presently popular model of sustainable development appreciate the value of Gandhian model of development. Let's now come to the sustainable model of development. Unprincipled and over-exploitation of natural resources, that is air, water, soil, and sound pollution, climate changes and its adverse effects on human life, increase in radiation levels and depletion of the ozone layer, and disturbances and pressures on the ecosystems all have amply demonstrated the fact that the past socio-economic development has not been real development. Its human cost has been excessively high. It has created a situation of social, economic, environmental imbalance. It has made it essential for us to work for securing social sustainability, economic sustainability, and environmental sustainability, that is, sustainable development. The greatest need of the hour is to put in comprehensive and coordinated efforts for securing development which is socially, economically, and environmentally stable and enduring, sustainable. Sustainable development. Let's understand the meaning. Well, it is an approach to development which seeks to generate present growth without any way of disturbing and limiting the quality of life for future generations. It focuses attention upon the need to maintain necessary, health, productive, and enduringly sustainable balance between human needs, natural resources, and features, and ecosystem. It focuses attention upon the need to maintain a necessary, healthy, productive, and enduringly sustainable balance between human needs, natural resources, and features and ecosystems. These are to be developed and made to sustain and reinforce each other. The Brundtland Report defines sustainable development as development that meets the need of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Main dimensions of sustainable development are: the concept of sustainable development is very comprehensive to begin with. It contains within itself several dimensions of development. It to secure social, economic, and environmental development. It includes the concept of sustainable population levels, poverty alleviation, social economic justice, social development, economic development, environmental protection, prevention, control, and abatement of pollution, securing of balanced ecosystems and biodiversity, conservation and systematic use of the natural resources, development and use of eco-friendly technology, meeting the challenges resulting from climate change, and securing the needs of the present without in any way limiting or harming the ability of the future generations to meet their needs. All these dimensions of sustainable development are emphasized by a large majority of contemporary supporters of this model. Now let's come to the conclusion. If you closely look at all the models of development, all of them end up talking about growth for the humanity and society. These are different approaches to reach a true, singular, overarching goal, that is to help in betterment of all. Each model is unique in itself and is practiced well in different societies of the world. Some are successful, others are not so successful with respect to the rapid economic growth. But having said that, each one serves a particular philosophy and purpose. Let us enhance our understanding of development by learning from each of these models. And now it's time for a quick recap. Today we discussed the importance of various models of development. We started with the liberal model, later we discussed the welfare model of development. Also we talked about the socialist Marxist model, and we understood how these models were practical and impractical in their own practice. We did discuss the Gandhian model of development that taught us about the concept of perfect society and the sustainable model of development. To sum it up, we learned that all models of development talked about success and growth for all, which means all of them stand for improved quality of life and growth for the current and the future generations. This is all we have for you today. We hope you enjoyed the session. We shall be back with more on development. Until then, take care, thank you, and namaskar.